just keeps happening, and it's so notable. We're barely over a month away from one of the most consequential elections in American history, and one of the candidates keeps trying to talk about policy, which is an important thing when you're running for president, and keeps failing. And so we check in on that again, even though sometimes these feel sort of repetitive. Before getting to the part of this interview on Fox Business with Larry Kudlow, it did remind me of this other interview they did some time ago where Kudlow, I don't know how he can possibly not feel shame being the host here and pretending like Trump makes sense when he doesn't, pretending like Trump is thoughtful about policy when he's not, pretending like Trump understands what he's talking about when he doesn't. I don't know what's going on inside for Kudlow for him to be able to broadcast that. But here's this interview from some time ago where he really brought the fake in on this to the next level.
Yeah,
a couple
and I
of
think,
quick thoughts.
Yeah, I'd say we're going to make America greater than ever
Growth is
before.
part of it, but there are other things that you've discussed. And can I just add one thing, sir? I don't think people know this. Your campaign, you and your advisors in the campaign, you're putting out all these great videos. You're putting out white papers on issues left and right, and millions of people are reading this stuff. I mean, you're running an issues-oriented campaign. That's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about this stuff today. So we can pull up from this decline.
Larry. You're not, there's about two people who can fall, who are going to fall for that. Yeah, right. An issues-based campaign, issues in that Trump has a lot of them, and he likes complaining about stuff. But no, anytime he tries to comprehensively communicate his policy agenda, other than drill, baby, drill, even though we're doing that at record highs, and something about the border, even though he's blocking border security bills through his allies in Congress, or inflation, even though deals he struck is largely responsible for inflation, and also it was a global phenomenon, and also we brought it down faster than any other country based on comparable countries. So yeah, he'll have these bumper sticker phrases he can put out, but in terms of getting in the details, well, you're going to see in this interview. Let's start at the end, him saying this. By the way, actually quickly, before, do click that subscribe button if you haven't already, as we're charging and trying to get there as fast as possible to 1 million subscribers. That brings with it, I think, an ability to reach a lot more people because of the credibility that comes along with that many subscribers. And that's what this is about, getting the word out about these different things. Actual issues-based conversations.
She's a radical leftist. She's a Marxist. A lot of people don't know what a Marxist is, so you could say communist. Not the same thing, but it's close. She's very bad for this country. She will destroy this country.
Mr. President, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And your wisdom.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no. She's a Marxist, but I don't know what that means, so I'm going to call her a communist instead. It's pretty similar, a little similar, but different also, but similar. Thank you, Mr. President, for your wisdom. Larry. How do you do it? If it weren't so dishonest, it would almost be impressive. Then you have him being asked about the latest strong jobs report.
These are uncomfortable statistics. There's something wrong. There's something
Uncomfortable for you politically, maybe.
unbalanced about all these numbers and where the country's going.
Well, especially so since, as you see, and I guess you probably read one of the numbers where the illegal migrants that are coming into the country are getting the jobs. They're getting most of the jobs.
Yeah, I mean, last we heard from Trump, 110% of the jobs created are going to undocumented immigrants. Try to make sense of that one. I had a pie last night, and I ate 110% of it. No, that's not true. And there's no evidence of it, which is why he never cites any evidence. And he just says, someone told me somewhere that did I tell myself that? Is that just me? Yeah, it's just me. Then he will sometimes talk about tariffs. And by sometimes, I mean constantly. Because he seems to have one economic proposal that he can really spend some time on, and it's tariffs. He seems to misunderstand the criticism of his tariff proposals, though, because they're so wacky that it leads Tim Scott on CNBC, as we covered, who's a huge Trump guy. Some speculate he literally got married because people said he couldn't be a vice presidential running mate because he didn't have a wife, and so he got married and then Trump didn't pick him. Oof. But he's still loyal to Trump. And he went on CNBC, got asked about Trump's tariff proposals, and said, well, I think Trump likes to speak in the abstract often. Not my language, his. Tim Scott's defense of Trump was, well, Trump's an abstract speaker. Really? On tariff policy? That's a weird thing to talk abstractly about. But here you have him saying, my proposals are great because the word's so beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing, but it's got a bad image. It needs you to fix the image. A tariff, we stop wars with tariffs. I mean, I had cases where I told a country they were being very aggressive with another country. It had nothing to do with us. I just don't like seeing dead people, okay? And they were going to go to war. And I said, if you go to war, and they do a lot of business with the United States, I'm putting 100% tariff on everything you do, any business you do with us. No, this has nothing to do. I said, it does have. I stopped a war. Will I get Nobel Prizes? Never. I mean, look what we did with the Abraham Accords, how good that was. But you can stop wars with tariffs. The word tariff, if properly used, not stupidly used, but we used them, and that was when our country was the richest. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, but you had the Depression in Well, the tariffs were put on in 1932. The Depression had long started. We went to the income tax system. We would be able to cut taxes for the people in this country and charge other countries for the use of our country, for the pillage of our country, for the taking of our jobs, because that's what they're doing. And nobody's protected our country. So
Thank you, Mr. President, for your wisdom, your time and your wisdom. We're not charging other countries. Stop misstating what it is that you're talking about. And the beautiful... Imagine if, let me think, infrastructure. People say it's a bad word. I say it's a beautiful word. Okay, but what's your infrastructure plan? I just think infrastructure is such a beautiful word. I think it's a great word. That's why it's a policy I care about. It's just beautiful. I mean, I get sort of, it's kind of a sexy word if I think about it. Infrastructure. Sheesh, I'm getting hot. I don't know what that is in terms of an argument, but the criticism is not that you are talking about tariffs. Oh, but it's a great word. It's fine. Yeah, right now, we have tariffs implemented. There are totally strategic uses for tariffs. It's that you seem to be so, number one, impulsive, number two, misinformed, number three, just sort of simple. Yeah, and incorrect in the proposals you're making, because you're saying, let's just throw, I don't know, 10, 15, 20% all foreign imports. That'll be good. And somehow China's going to pay for it, just like how Mexico was going to pay for the wall and then didn't. And then that's good. And then John Deere, you're kind of bothering me, so I'm going to put 200% tariff on you, and we're just going to kind of fix everything that way. That's what disturbs people. And when we look at if we can derive meaning from all the random stuff you throw out there when you're talking about this, percentages-wise, it would be super inflationary. And Trump could come out and make the argument. I know that consumers, especially in the short term, they'll be hit with the costs of this. But I think the long-term impact of supply chains being more in the United States is worth the... He could say that still what he's outlined wouldn't do what he's saying that it would, but he won't even stand by the actual outcome. He says, no, there won't be any inflation. Costs won't go up. Costs will somehow go down. Taxes will go down, but revenue will go up in the federal government, just like how it did last time I cut taxes. Even the last time I cut taxes, it didn't, and it shot up the deficit, but I'm going to pretend like I did. That's what people have an issue with, not the sound, not the sex appeal of the word tariff. No, I know that's not what I say. Not the beautifulness of the word tariff. Then he talks more about that, and such a great word, and McKinley used it, so great. And then he says this.
She would do things that would drive investment away from this country, destroy businesses, damage households. Some people say it would even lead to a depression. I mean, there's a difference. You're the tax cutter. You're trying for a new.
Larry, this is so, I'm so cringed out. God, how do you sleep with yourself at night, Larry? Do you hear what he said? I'm going to play more, but do you hear what he said? He's setting up the question. This is tough interviews, by the way. This is when Trump says, I do a lot of tough interviews. This is what he means. Set up the interview by saying that Kamala Harris's proposals, some say, could cause a depression. By some people say, he means the person he's sitting in the room with right now being Trump. Trump's the only person who says that other than Trump's supporters. Every major financial institution, every analysis that's been released by any credible institution, the overwhelming conclusion from economists has been the opposite. That regardless of if they like Kamala Harris or not, Trump's off the wall, off the rails economic proposals would be more likely to hurt us economically, and Kamala would lead to a stronger economic situation. Goldman Sachs came out and said that.
People say it would even lead to a depression. I mean, there's a difference. You're the tax cutter. You're trying for a new golden age in this country. She's a tax hiker in order to pay. She wants another $2 trillion in entitlements and spending. She said that in one of her economic speeches when she declared her candidacy. There's a big difference between the two of you.
She wants to tax people, but also businesses into other countries. You know better than anybody, probably better than anybody on the planet, because you know every head of every company. You have interviews with them every once in a while, right? These are people that are probably more loyal to their company and their shareholders than they are to a country. Mm-hmm. And what happens is when you charge too much, what's going to happen, they're going to leave other countries. They're coming back to us at the 15%. They're going to make the product here. But what happens is they're loyal to the company and the stock price. And when Europe and other places, look what happened with Ireland and the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, they just stole it when we were, so many of these companies are located in Ireland. And it was all based on tax policy. And if you follow Kamala. You follow her. She doesn't know anything about it. Look, this woman destroyed maybe the best city in the country, San Francisco. Now, it wasn't over tax. It was over defund the police and all sorts of other things, right? It was if you rob a store, you can go up to $950, and after that, we'll start getting angry at you. That was not a good policy either. She would be a disaster. But just so you understand, if
this is just a disaster of a sentence, what? She didn't defund the police. The far left criticism of Kamala Harris was that she was too pro-police in her time as a prosecutor, DA, and attorney general. And if all these big businesses would run away from the United States if Kamala Harris became president, number one, the tax proposals are very similar to the tax proposals from Biden, and they didn't run away then. And number two, it's many of those big businesses saying, we love big tax cuts from Trump, but he's too wonky with his proposals. We're favoring Harris now.
If you followed her policy, you will end up in a 1929 style depression. 100% certain. And
100% certain. I feel like I remember something very. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Fox News reported, would be a disaster. Former President Trump insisted stocks will collapse and people will leave the country under Vice President Harris's economic agenda if she wins the election in November. And Aaron Rupart points out, this is crazy. LMAO, you guys ran the exact same article 4 years ago, and stocks hit a record high today. What? Trump touts business gains, warns of 1929 level economic crash if he loses election. I know what you're thinking, Luke. You just read the same. No, this is a different one from 2020. From Fox News, almost the exact same headline as they're now running about Kamala Harris that Trump said about Biden and Kamala Harris. And then instead, we saw the strongest recovery from the pandemic in the entire world, of all of humanity. We have seen gains in so many areas, including Trump says the stock market is going to collapse, and it's at record highs. So it's the epitome of a lack of credibility. There's more there, but that's enough. You get the point. Trump struggles. Larry Kudlow has to just smother out his integrity to pretend like this is policy and end this whole conversation with "Thank you, sir, for your wisdom." And it's all very strange stuff. I think you get the point. Let me know what you thought in the comments. If you want to have more fun and support the work, it's a win-win. You're supporting the show, which is awesome, I think. And then you're getting a bonus show, and we have a ton of fun on the bonus show. You can do that by clicking the join button below.